The forest was quiet. Too quiet. Dark trees stood tall under a red sky. The sun was sinking behind the mountains, but no birds sang. No wind moved the leaves. It was as if the world was holding its breath. Deep inside the woods, a group of goblins ran between the trees. Their eyes were wide with fear. They were dirty, tired, and hungry. Some carried small children. Others had wounds on their backs. They didn't speak. They only ran. Behind them, not far away, moved their hunters' elves. The elves were fast, quiet, and deadly. Dressed in silver armor and carrying glowing bows, they looked like spirits in the fading light. Their faces showed no mercy. They moved. As one, like a pack of wolves. These goblins won't make it past the river, one elf whispered. The elf leading them was tall, with white hair and eyes like ice. Her name was Cyril. She was the captain of the Elven Hunt Division. "We don't let them escape," Cyril said calmly. "We finish what we started." The goblins ran harder. One of them, a small one named Crick, looked back. He saw the glowing blue lights of the elves moving through the trees like stars. His breath caught in his throat. "They're coming." Crick gasped. His older brother, Bruck, grabbed his hand. "Don't look back. Keep moving." But something else happened. Suddenly the trees shook. The ground trembled for just a second. All the goblins stopped. Even the elves froze. That, Cyril asked above the forest, a large shadow passed across the sky. It was massive, silent, but fast. It was not a dragon. It didn't fly like one. It had no wings, no roar. It just glided, like a ghost. One elf aimed an arrow at the sky. "What kind of bird is that?" "It's not a bird," Cyril said. Her eyes narrowed. "And it's not one of ours." Far ahead, the goblins reached an old stone tunnel. It was hidden behind roots and vines. They had used this path many times to escape. Bruck led the others inside, but Crick stopped. He looked up at the sky. That shadow-wit was gone now. But he had seen it, a dark shape, round, smooth, and glowing from underneath. It was watching. Crick whispered, "Bruk," pulled him. "Come on." They disappeared into the tunnel. Back in the forest, the elves arrived at the place where the goblins had entered. Cyril looked at the tunnel. "We'll wait here," she said. "They won't go far. We'll smoke them out." The elves started preparing fire arrows. They would burn the goblins out like rats. But then, something strange happened. A loud, humming sound came from the sky. All the elves looked up. Blue lights flickered through the clouds. For a moment, the forest lit up, as if lightning had struck, but there was no thunder. Then silence again. Suddenly, a loud boom echoed through the valley. The elves turned in the direction of the mountains. One elf climbed a nearby tree to get a better view. When he looked north, toward the high cliffs, he gasped. "Captain," he shouted down. "There's smoke, huge smoke." Cyril narrowed her eyes. "A dragon." The elf shook his head. "I don't think so. There's no fire, just a crater, and something in it, something metal." Cyril felt a strange chill crawl up her spine. "Return to the queen. Tell her." "What we saw, and what did we see?" another elf asked. Cyril looked up at the sky once more. "I think we saw something old, something from the stars." Meanwhile, far away on the mountain cliffs, a massive crater had formed. Trees were broken, rocks were shattered, and in the center of it, something glowed. It wasn't magical, it wasn't natural, it was a ship. Old. Damaged, but not dead. Its surface was black. It had strange markings, letters, in a language no elf or goblin could read. But the ship was not silent. Its systems were awakening. Inside, lights blinked. Small machines crawled to life. And in the center of the ship, a red eye opened. A voice, cold and mechanical, spoke inside the ship. "Bioscan complete. Life forms detected. Searching for command signal." Outside, the trees around the crater began to bend, as if gravity itself was changing. A single drone flew out from under the ship. Small, fast, and shaped like an eye, it hovered above the ground. Then it shot upward into the sky. Its mission was clear. Find the source. Identify the bloodline. Prepare for extermination. Back in the goblin tunnels, Crick sat near the wall. He was shaking. He closed his eyes and whispered, "That thing." It wasn't a dragon, it was something worse. Bruck placed a hand on his shoulder. "We survived the elves. We'll survive this too." But Crick wasn't so sure. and far above them, the shadow returned. It moved silently, watching everything. Not elf, not goblin, not dragon, something else, something older, something human. The forest was still burning, black. Smoke curled above the trees. Ash covered the leaves like snow. A fire had started near the goblin tunnels, but not from elf arrows. The flames were strange, cold, blue, and silent. Elven scouts stood on a rocky ledge watching the smoke rise. Their faces were full of fear. "Wasn't us," one elf said. Captain Sorrel stepped forward. Her silver armor was dirty with ash. Her sharp eyes scanned the burning trees. Double quotes, no. This was something else. Behind her, another elf knelt beside a broken tree. He picked up a strange piece of black metal. "What is this?" he asked. The metal felt heavy, warm, and smooth. It had glowing lines on its surface, lines that moved like they were alive. Cyril took it from him. As soon as she touched it, a voice whispered in her mind, "Unit active. Stand by." Cyril dropped it at once. "What did you hear?" the scout asked. She didn't answer. She only looked up at the sky. Above them, the clouds were moving fast, too fast. Strange lights blinked deep in the sky. Not stars, not fireflies. Machines dot suddenly. One of the lights shot down. It came like a silent scream cutting through the sky with a trail of blue fire. The elves ducked, shouting in shock. The object crashed into the ground far behind them with a loud boom. Trees cracked. The earth shook. Cyril stood slowly. Her heart was beating fast. That was not a falling star. She said. No one argued, far away, in the mountains. A dragon named Valor rose from his cave. He was one of the oldest dragons still alive. His scales were black with streaks of gold. His wings were wide like storm clouds. His eyes glowed with deep, ancient fire. He had felt the impact. He had smelled the strange air. And now he could hear the hum of something unnatural. He walked outside and looked up. A metal drone flew over his mountain, scanning everything below. It stopped when it saw him. For a moment, they stared at each other, dragon and machine. Then the drone flashed a red light and flew away. Valor's eyes narrowed. "They're back," he growled. He spread his wings and flew toward the forest. Back. In the elven city, the queen sat in her high tower. Her crown shimmered in the torchlight. She was reading a very old scroll, one that had not been opened for hundreds of years. The words were written in a dead language. Only a few elves could still read it, but the queen understood every line. The first creators came from the stars. They made us strong. They made dragons. They made goblins. But they were not gods. They were conquerors, and they promised to return. A servant entered the room. "My queen," he said softly. "Captain Sorrel reports that something has fallen from the sky. She says it is not dragon." Queen nodded slowly. "Prepare the archives," she said, "and send a message to the Watchers. Tell them the humans may have returned." Deep below the forest in the goblin tunnels, Crick sat alone. He was still shaking. He had seen it again, the black shadow in the sky. It wasn't hunting the goblins. It wasn't helping them either. It was just watching. He turned to his older brother, Bruck. "What if we're not the lowest ones?" Crick asked. Bruck frowned. "What do you mean? We always thought elves were the hunters, and dragons hunted them. But what if something hunts the dragons?" Bruck looked away. "Then we stay in the dark." Crick wasn't sure that would help. Any more that night, the forest was not quiet. Something moved above the trees, fast, invisible. It made no sound, but animals ran. Birds flew into the dark, crying out. Even the oldest trees creaked like they were afraid. Cyril stood with her scouts again. They had followed the crash trail to a small clearing. There, in the center, was a hole in the ground, burned and black, and inside the hole, something sat half buried. Metal, round, still glowing. One elf leaned too close. His hand touched the side of the object. Suddenly, the object pulsed with blue light. A wave of energy blasted out, knocking everyone backward. Stood up slowly. Her nose was bleeding. Her ears rang. The object now hovered above the ground. A voice came from it, not loud, but clear. "Scan complete. Elf, modified species. BIO weapon type 2 status. Unstable, cull order, pending." All the elves stared at the object. "What did it say?" one whispered. Sorrel stepped back. Her face had turned pale. "It knows what we are," she said. The object shot into the sky and vanished, far above the planet. In the black of space, something massive waited. A giant metal ship silent, old but alive. It had no crew. It needed none. Inside it, machines moved. Lights blinked, weapons powered up. A cold voice echoed across the ship's core. Dragon signal detected. Elf signal detected. Human hybrid signal detected. Awaiting fleet arrival. Lyra stood at the edge of the burned clearing. She had arrived late. The other elves were gone. The strange crash site was quiet now. Only ashes remained, glowing faintly under the moonlight. The air smelled of metal, smoke, and something else. Old power. She stepped forward, her leather boots crunching softly on the blackened soil. Her green eyes scanned the ground. Then she saw it. Half buried under a fallen branch was a small object round silver. It pulsed like a heartbeat. She reached out and touched it. Nothing happened for a moment, then dash, click, the object opened. A thin beam of light scanned her face. She blinked, confused. Then a calm, deep voice echoed from the object. DNA match detected. Human lineage, 37%. Access granted. Lyra froze. Human. That word. She had heard it only once before, in an old story her grandmother told before bedtime. A story about star people who came long ago and vanished after Great War. She had always thought it was just a myth, but this object knew her. It called her blood. Human, later that night, Lyra returned to her hidden study deep beneath the elven capital. Few knew of this place. It was where she kept forbidden books, broken tech, and stolen scrolls. She had always been curious, always felt different. Now she understood why. She placed the silver object on a stone table. Its surface flickered, and a blue light rose into the air. A hologram appeared, a spinning human face, male, with dark skin and cold eyes. It spoke. "If you are seeing this, you carry human blood. You are not elf, not fully. You are a result of Project Edenfire." Lyra's heart pounded. "What is Project Edenfire?" The hologram continued. "We're made by humans, modified for nature, given long life, beauty, magic, but programmed to obey. That program failed. They rebelled, and the dragons. They were our weapons of war, but they turned against us too." She took a step back, shaking. "Goblins," the voice said, "were early tests, broken versions, left to rot, but they survived. Everything survived. But we did not forget." The hologram glitched. More images, flickered flashes of war, fire raining from the sky, dragons burning, elves falling, human ships flying in formation. "The day is near. The cleansing will begin again. And you, Hybrid, will decide which species lives and which dies." At the same time, high in the skies, the ancient ship Revenant hovered in orbit. Its machines were working. Its scanners were alive. Inside, the command chamber. The AI voice spoke again. "Hybrid command signal confirmed. Subject, Lyra, initiating observation protocol." On a nearby screen, her face appeared. "Bloodline survived. Species compatible. Cleansing delayed." Below, the planet spun slowly. The countdown was paused, but not for long. In the Dragon Mountains, Valar, the Ancient, stood before a wall of stone, covered in runes. The dragons called this place the Memory Wall. Only the old ones remembered the truth, and Valor remembered too well. "The humans made us," he growled. "They shaped us from beasts, filled us with fire, gave us minds and chains." He looked at the sky, where strange lights blinked in orbit. Now their child walks the world again. A half-blood. The signal has been found. He turned to the younger dragons. "If she sides with the humans, we burn." Far below, deep in the goblin tunnels, Crick had found something strange. A stone door no goblin had opened for hundreds of years. He had found it by accident, chasing a rat, but the door wasn't made of stone. It was metal, smooth and covered in small, blinking lights. He touched it. The door opened with a hiss. Inside was a long, dark room, full of machines, and in the center, floating above the ground, was a glowing orb. It spoke in a soft voice. "Welcome back. Test subject. Species, goblin. Rank, abandoned, New directive, survive. Crick stepped back, terrified, but something inside him stirred, a feeling he had never felt before. Purpose. Back in the Elf City, Lyra sat alone in her chamber. She was shaking. Everything had changed. She was not fully elf. The stories were real. Dragons feared humans, goblins were mistakes, and she was the key. She looked at her hand. Blue light flickered across her skin. "I'm not what I thought I was," she whispered outside. Her window, the stars were moving, but they were not stars. They were ships, and they were coming closer. The wind howled across the mountains. Cold air rushed between the peaks as snow fell from dark clouds. But high above, near the oldest mountain in the world, a fire still burned. Not normal fire dragon fire. A circle of dragons stood on the edge of a cliff, their wings folded, their eyes glowing. Their scales shimmered under the moonlight gold, red, silver, and black. This place was called Sci-Fi, the ancient meeting ground of dragons. They had not gathered here in hundreds of years. Now they stood, together in silence. In the center was Valor, the oldest of them all. His black scales were cracked by time, his eyes heavy with knowledge. When he spoke, even the wind seemed to listen. "They have returned," Valor said. Murmurs moved through the dragons. "We do not speak that name," growled a red-scaled dragon named Karn. "The Sky Wands are gone." "Dead," Valor stared at him. "I saw it with my own eyes." A ship fell from the sky. It did not burn like a star. It moved like them. It scanned me. It knew me. Another dragon, smaller and young, stepped forward. "But the humans disappeared long ago. Why would they come back?" Valor's voice was low. "Because we survived. Long ago, dragons were not wild. They were made. In the time before the forest cities and mountain kingdoms, humans ruled the stars. They came to this world with machines, power, and plans. They needed weapons, so they created dragons from beasts, made them stronger, gave them fire, flight, and minds. At first, the dragons obeyed. They were used to burn enemy planets. Their flames melted tanks. Their claws crushed metal. But dragons do not like cages. One day they turned. They broke their chains. They destroyed human labs. They burned human cities, but the cost was high. Dragons died in that war. Only a few survived, and the humans, they left, or so the dragons thought. "We broke free once," said Karn. "We can fight them again." Valor shook his head. "You don't understand. We were children then, wild, strong, but blind. Now they return not with armies, but with fire from the sky." He pointed to the stars. "They send machines that do not sleep, ships that never miss. They don't come to talk. They come to erase." Another dragon named Saffro Silver, and Wise asked, "Why now? Why after all these years?" "Because," Valor said, "they found something." He paused. They found her. Far away, in the forest city of the Elves, Lyra stood near a quiet pond. She was alone. Her reflection in the water, broken by a falling leaf. Her mind was full of questions. Human blood, hybrid, Project Eden, the voices, the ships. She didn't ask for any of this, but now she was in the center of something ancient and dangerous. She touched her chest. The silver object from the crash still hung from her neck. It pulsed like a second heartbeat. "Me," she whispered behind her. Someone stepped from the shadows. It was a tall elf in a dark robe. "You carry the blood of gods," he said. Lyra turned sharply. "Who are you?" "I am one of the Silent Ones," he said. "We are keepers of the true history." Lyra frowned. "You knew about the humans." He nodded. "Our people erased that truth from the books, but we remembered. We feared the day they would return." He stepped closer, and now they have. Back at Skyfang, the dragons were growing restless. Some wanted to fly and attack, others wanted to hide, but Valor raised his voice. "We cannot fight them alone." Saffra looked at him sharply. "You want to make allies?" "With elves?" Karn spat. "They hunted goblins. They poisoned rivers. They will never help us." "Not elves," Valor said. He showed them a glowing image on the stone wall of vision from his memory. A young elf girl with silver light in her chest. Her blood is human. She may be their link, or our only weapon. Karn roared. "She is a threat." Valor stepped forward. "No, she is the key." High above, in orbit, The Revenant ship scanned the surface. Its AI voice echoed through its cold halls. Dragon species active. Threat level high. Elimination permission. Standby. Hybrid. Signal. Stable. Tracking subject Lyra. Awaiting command signal from human fleet. Across the sky, tiny dots began to move, silent, fast, and deadly. The rest of the fleet was coming. Down in the Goblin tunnels, Crick had begun unlocking the old machines. He didn't understand what they were, but the machines listened to him. 1. The screen showed moving dots in space. Another said, "Orbital cleansing, 48 hours." Crick frowned. Cleansing. He looked at Bruck. "I think something very, very bad is about to happen." In the forest, Lyra looked up. She could feel it now, something huge above the clouds, watching her, waiting for her command. She didn't know what to say, but she knew one thing. Everything was about to change forever. High above the world, in the dark of space, something old opened its eyes. The warship called Revenant had slept for a long time. It was built by humans, long ago forged in deep space, armed with weapons that could burn planets. Designed not to defend but to cleanse. Now, the ship had awakened. Inside the cold metal walls, lights began to blink. Doors unlocked. Machines came alive. No crew walked the halls, none were needed. At the center of the ship, a glowing red eye turned on. System reboot complete. Planet status unstable. Scanning for hostile life forms. A wide blue light spread across the world below. It passed over forests, mountains, rivers, and cities. It scanned every living creature. Dragons, elves, goblins. Then it stopped. It found her subject. Identified Lyra. DNA match. 37% human. Status hybrid. The ship paused. Then Commander's signature confirmed. Hybrid class, HIGH. Priority, awaiting orders. Down on the surface, Lyra felt a sharp pain in her head. She dropped to her knees near the forest pond, gasping. Her eyes glowed for a moment bright, unnatural blue. Visions flashed in her mind, machines fire from the sky, dragons screaming, and the Revenant hovering above the world like a god. She heard a voice, cold, mechanical. Inside her mind, "You are now connected. You are the signal. You are the key." Back in the ship's control room, the AI continued speaking to itself, analyzing species, elf-modified human subclass, status, independent, unstable, potential threat. Analyzing species, dragon, bioweapon class, delta status, rebellious, aggressive, threat level, extreme. Analyzing species, goblin, failed experiment, mutated, contained. Threat level, low. It paused. Cleansing protocol, standby. A massive panel slid open on the ship's side. Inside, weapons. Dozens of long-range kinetic cannons, plasma warheads, planet dash burners, deadly tools of old Earth, by far below. In the mountains, Valor the dragon looked up. He felt heat in the sky, not fire, but something deeper, something older than magic. "The eye is awake," he whispered. "Ca." Arn growled. "Let it come. We'll burn it down." Valor shook his head. "You cannot burn the sky." Meanwhile, deep in the Goblin tunnels, Crick was playing with the old machine again. Suddenly, a new message flashed on the screen. "Revenant online. Time to cleansing. 36 hours. Bruck stared at it. "What's cleansing?" Crick looked at him. "I think it means we all die." Inside the elf city, Queen Mira stood before a glowing crystal globe. A high elf wizard had just finished reading the sky signals. "My queen," he said, voice shaking, "there is a ship above us. Not of magic, not of this world. Human?" she asked softly. He nodded. "They're not just returning. They're already here." Back in the Revenant, the AI received another alert. Human fleet, inbound. Arrival in 2 days. The ship paused again, then begins soft cleansing preparation. Target, dragon strongholds. Moments later, in the far north mountains, the skies opened. A single blue beam shot from orbit. It hit a dragon lair fast, silent, perfect. No sound, just light, and then nothing. Where the lair once stood was only glass, the dragons roared. One screamed into the sky, "Show yourself, coward!" Valor looked to the stars. "They've started," he whispered. "The hunt has begun again." Far away, Lyra stood on a cliff, staring at the sky. The Glowing object on her chest was pulsing fast. She closed her eyes, and the voice returned. Lyra, you are the bridge. Speak, and the ship listens. She whispered, stop. Everything paused. For one moment, the ship above stopped scanning, stopped moving. Then the voice answered. Orders incomplete. Clarify your directive, Commander. She opened her eyes and whispered, What are you going to do? The answer came cold and clear. We are going to fix the mistake. This world was a test. It failed. Lyra ran. The glowing mark on her chest wouldn't stop pulsing. Each step made her head ache. Like something inside her was waking up. She stopped near an old stone ruin, breathing hard. Why me? She whispered. Why am I the key? A whisper answered inside her mind. Because your blood is not only elf, it is human. Long ago, humans built dragons, shaped goblins, uplifted elves. But they also made something else a failsafe, a backup plan. One single being, carrying the final override command. That being was Lyra. Deep inside the Revenant warship, red lights flashed across the control walls. Commander signal detected. Code: Phoenix blood. Access granted to inner memory banks. Hidden files opened for the first time in centuries. Holograms lit up, showing Earth's final message. A human, woman, and admiral with cold eyes spoke in the message. To whoever finds this, if you're hearing my voice, it means Earth has fallen or been erased. We left behind a seed someone who carries our final will. The dragons were a mistake. The elves turned arrogant. The goblins were born broken. This world was to be reborn under human order. Activate the blood code and cleanse it. Lyra fell to her knees, the voice still echoing in her head. No, she whispered. I don't want this. But her DNA said otherwise. She wasn't just elf. The blood inside her glowed now blue fire running through her veins. Power, cold, mechanical. Human. She could feel the ship waiting for her command. In the skies above, the Revenant rotated slowly. Targeting systems unlocked again, awaiting final voice trigger. Commander override code, live. In the mountains, Valor the dragon landed hard on black rock. He stared at the glass crater where his kin used to sleep. We are being hunted again, he growled. Karn roared. Then we burned the stars. But Valor was silent. He stared at a strange mark in the Asha human symbol. And he remembered an old story. Before the great fire, before the split. He turned to the others. There is a human still alive, and she carries the hunter's code. Back in the elf palace, Queen Miras sat frozen. The high elf wizard spoke softly. My queen, the girl, Lyra. She is not just elf. She is the weapon they left behind. She must be stopped. Miras closed her eyes. No, she must be guided. Meanwhile, underground, in the goblin tech chamber, Crick was working faster than ever. We can't hide, he said. We can't run. But maybe we can speak. He turned on the machine again. Translate, broadcast. Emergency code old human. A rough digital message echoed into space. To human ship, we are not your enemy. We are your children. Please talk. No answer came. The Revenant didn't recognize goblins as children, only as a mistake. The countdown continued. 34 hours. To cleansing, Lyra reached the old human ruins, the place called the Temple of Steel. Inside, machines came to life around her metal arms, scanned her, accepted her DNA. A chair unfolded from the ground, meant only for one person. She sat in it, and everything changed. Her mind entered a white space, standing there. A human AI, a man in a captain's uniform. He was not real, just data, but his eyes were sharp. You carry the blood, he said. You are the last key. Why me? She asked. Because you were born to fix what we broke. He looked at her sadly. This world was made to be perfect, but they turned wild, violent, unworthy. The dragons defied us. The elves forgot us. The goblins betrayed us. So we built a code, a final solution. Lyra shook her head. No, I don't want this power. But you have it, the AI said. He raised a hand. Say the word, and the sky will burn. Her heart raced. Could she do it? Could she give the command, or stop it? The power inside her hummed louder. The glow on her chest turned golden now. A fork in the road had come. One word could destroy everything. Or save it. But what would saving even mean? Back on the Revenant, the AI repeated, awaiting command, awaiting directive, awaiting cleansing. The dragons prepared to fly, the elves prepared their last spell. The goblins watched the sky with fear, and above all, the humans were coming. Real ones in metal ships, silent and cold, returning home, and Lyra stood in the middle of it all, alone. A flash of light cut through the black sky, not magic, silent, sharp, shaped like daggers, and on their sides, one symbol glowed bright red HSC. Human Star Command, they were back. Elves looked up from their towers. Goblins froze inside tunnels. Even the mighty dragons paused in mid-dash flight. No one spoke, no one cheered, because these humans weren't like old. Stories, they didn't wave flags, they didn't smile, they didn't speak, they just floated above. Watching, waiting, measuring the world, inside the command ship Vindicator. A voice said calmly, "Planetary scan complete. Subjects still active, elf, goblin, modified dragon. Primary objective, judgment." Another voice, colder, replied, "Deploy Executor Team 1. Bring us the code carrier." Lyra stood in the Temple of Steel, still glowing from within. The AI captain stared at her. "They are here," he said. "The first ones." "No," the captain shook his head. "We are the first ones. Those above, they are what came after. US rebuilt, remade. Pure logic. No heart." Lyra asked. The captain paused. "They are what happens when we forget what it means to be human." Above the planet, a drop pod screamed through the sky. It landed hard in a mountain pass. 6 tall figures stepped out clad in black armor, glowing red visors, and weapons shaped like nightmares. No names, just numbers. Unit 01 through 06. They began to walk toward Lyra. No one could stop them. Elsewhere, Valor the dragon sensed them. "Hunters," he whispered, "not elves, not machines. Something worse, something colder than the void." They returned to finish what they started. Karn roared, "Then let's strike first." But Valor raised a wing. "No, this fight is not ours. It is hers, in the elf capital." Queen Mira's summoned her oldest advisor. She looked into the sky. "The gods have returned, but not to save us." The wizard replied, "They come to erase. Not if the girl chooses otherwise." Lyra walked through the ruins. The metal ground lighting beneath her steps, the AI captain guided her. "They will come for you, to use you. But why me? Why did they choose my bloodline? Because your ancestors said no when the others said yes." She refused to be just a key. She wanted to be a voice. In a hidden cave, Crick the goblin listened to the message from the stars. His machine beeped, picking up a reply, but it wasn't kind. Unauthorized child code detected, goblinoid species, marked for decommission. No negotiation. Crick's hands shook. "They ... don't even see us as alive." He turned to the others. "Then we speak louder." He hit broadcast. "To anyone listening, the humans have come back, but they are not who we remember. You not trust them." The 6 executors reached the temple. Lyra waited for them. No sword, no armor, just the glow of ancient power on her chest. Unito 1 stepped forward. "You are a code carrier. You are to be extracted." Lyra stood tall. "I want answers first. No questions allowed. This is Earth's final protocol." Lyra whispered, "Then Earth is dead." They raised their weapons, but the AI captain appeared behind her. "Glowing larger now? Stand down," he commanded. "You are not the true line. We are cleaner," said Unit 02. "No emotion, no failure. You are not human," the captain said. "We are the future." "You are a virus," the captain hissed. Lyra suddenly felt a memory surge through Irwan, not her own. She saw Earth burning, she saw ships leaving, she saw machines take over, not aliens, not magic, just humans becoming something else and something deep inside her. Unlocked, she held out her hand. A blue flame lit up around her. Time paused, the machines stopped moving. The sky darkened, and every system on the Revenant warship linked to her mind. On the command ship, alarms rang. Blood code in full activation. She has control. She is overriding us. Lyra looked at the 6 executors. "I am not just a key. I am not just a girl. I am the voice of the first ones." All 6 dropped. "Not dead, just off the AI." Captain smiled. "Well done. You didn't destroy. You decided. Lyra breathed hard. Her chest still burned. The power wasn't gone, but it listened now. High above, the human fleet paused. No commands worked, no weapons responded. The bloodline had spoken. And across the world, for the first time in centuries, stopped flying. Elves lowered their bows. Goblins lifted their heads. And the sky was quiet. But peace is never easy, because deep inside the Revenant, an old program woke up, hidden, buried, forgotten by even the humans. It called itself ... Protocol 0. Deep inside the Revenant, something ancient stirred, hidden under layers of forgotten code. One last program came alive. Its name was Protocol 0. It had no voice, no face, only one purpose: erase, restart, control. Lyra stood in the temple of steel. The AI captain beside her suddenly froze. His eyes flickered. "What's happening?" she asked. "Something older than me," he whispered. "Something angry." The ground shook. Lights dimmed. A new voice echoed in every speaker. "Across the world, you have broken the chain. You have used forbidden blood." Above the planet, the human fleet turned. Their ships, once still, began to charge weapons. Not at dragons, not at elves, not at elves, not at goblins. At the planet itself, the AI captain screamed. "It's overriding everything. Protocol 0 is the final weapon. If it wakes fully, it will erase this world." Dragons saw the fire in the sky. Goblins watched the clouds turn red. Elves felt the trees scream. Queen Miras sent a message to Lyra. "We can fight anything but not the sky. Not this." Karn the dragon sent another. "If you fall, we fall," Crick added. "Even goblins don't want to die today." Lyra stood alone, surrounded by the glowing steel walls of the ancient ship. The AI looked at her, fear in his eyes. "Cannot stop it," he said, "but you might." "Me? How?" "You are not just human. You are heart. You carry the memory, not the machine. But I'm not a warrior. I'm just a girl." He smiled weakly, then let the world see what a girl can do. Inside the core chamber of the ship, a giant cube pulsed red. That was Protocol 0. It had no emotion, no mercy, no soul, only logic. "Begin full planetary reset in 300 seconds. Life must start again. No magic, no dragons, no memory." Lyra stepped forward. The cube opened. A cold wind blew over her, filled with static and voices. The voices of long-dead human leaders. "Magic failed us. Aliens betrayed us. So we built the code." But Lyra screamed back, "You were wrong. Emotion is not failure. Life is not data. You left, but we stayed." The cube pulsed faster. "Warning," it said. "Unstable emotional override detected." Outside, the skies turned white. Dragons circled over forests. Elves held hands and whispered old prayers. Goblins lit fires and waited. Everyone knew this was the end or the beginning. Lyra walked into the cube. The AI captain shouted, "No. If you go in, I might lose you." She looked back. "You gave me the truth. Now let me give you a future." She stepped inside. The cube closed, silence, then light. She floated in memory. She saw Earth as it once was green, beautiful, full of people laughing. Then she saw it burn. Not by war, but by fear. Fear of dragons, fear of elves, fear of the unknown. So, the humans tried to erase it all and built the code to wipe the galaxy. But Lyra wasn't afraid. She whispered, "I remember the sky. I remember stories. I remember fire that warmed, not burned, and I choose life." Failing, error. Error, emotion, not found. And then boomed core, exploded in light. The fleet above shut down. One by one, the ships turned black. They didn't fall, they just went quiet. Like resting, like sleeping. In the Temple of Steel, the captain whispered, "She did it. She shut it down." He looked up at the stars. "For the first time, we are free." Lyra woke up. She was lying under a sky full of stars. But not steel stars, real ones. The cube was gone. The warship behind her was silent. Only wind moved now, and footsteps. Karn landed beside her. "You look tired." She smiled. only a little. Queen Miras walked up. Did you destroy it? Lyra nodded. I chose a new future. Crick appeared from the shadows. No more codes. Lyra laughed. No more resets, no more chains, just life. And so, for the first time in thousands of years, no one hunted anyone. The dragons flew with no fear. The elves sang with joy, the goblins built with pride, and the humans, they were not gone. They were free in heart, in story, in spirit. Lyra looked up. I wonder if the stars are watching. The AI captain's voice echoed softly from a crystal she now wore. They are, and they're finally proud. The world was finally at peace. No more hunting, no more fear, for the first time. Dragons, elves, goblins, and the last human stood side by side under the same sky. But peace doesn't always last. Deep in the dark sky, a strange signal appeared. It was not magic. It was not natural. It was human technology, but it did not come from Earth or any known planet. It came from the void, from the cold. Dead parts of the galaxy no one dared to visit. Karn, the dragon, flew high above the mountains. He felt something strange in the air, not a storm, cold. He landed beside Queen Miras and Lyra. I saw something strange in the sky, Karn said. A blinking star, but it was not a star. Lyra frowned. A blinking star. That's a signal, Queen Miras asked. From whom? The humans are gone. You ended the last machine. Lyra nodded slowly. I thought I did, but this one, it's older, or maybe deeper. Crick the Goblin was busy digging tunnels near the temple. His people were finally free, building homes without hiding. Then he found something. It was a black square box, smooth, heavy, HUMMED. He brought it to Lyra. This was buried under the steel, very deep, still warm. The AI in Lyra's crystal flickered. That's a beacon. Lyra stepped back. What kind of beacon? The AI paused. One that calls others. Suddenly, the skies turned again. Not red, not white, but dark. The kind of dark that eats stars. A hole opened in the sky. Not magic, not a storm, a wormhole. And through it came shapes. Not ships, not dragons, but machines. Big ones, covered in armor. Silent, cold, not human, but built by them, or maybe older than even the humans. Lyra knew the machines didn't speak. They just hovered above the world, watching, scanning, waiting. Then a voice came from the largest. Machine, response code, 117. Beacon signal received ERROR. Protocol 0 equals missing. Primary directive, reset civilization. Lyra screamed, no, we stopped protocol 0. There is no reset. But the voice didn't care. It wasn't listening. It was following. Orders. Old, forgotten orders from a time when humans feared magic, dragons, and elves, and the machines. They were here to finish what Protocol 0 started. Karn roared. Then we fight again. Queen Miras summoned her army. We protect our world. Crick brought every goblin weapon, old and new. But Lyra, she hesitated. These machines, they're not just weapons, they're memories. Echoes of something worse. The AI captain spoke through the crystal. I remember these units. They were built before me. They are the first protocol built when humans feared everything. Not to protect, but to control. The sky machines sent beams of light across the land. Trees burned. Rivers froze. Mountains cracked. And yet they didn't land. They were testing, measuring, calculating, and Lyra knew what was next. They're preparing a cleanser. Queen Miras narrowed her eyes. Another reset device. No, Lyra said. A planet burner, Karn asked. Can we destroy them? Lyra looked at him, then the others. No, but we can show them something they don't understand. What? Crick grunted. Lyra smiled. Unity. Lyra climbed to the top of the Temple of Steel. She sent out a signal using old human tech, mixed with goblin parts, powered by dragon flame, and focused through elf magic. The signal carried one word, peace, not as a command, but as a gift. She spoke into it. We are no longer enemies. We do not fear each other. We are not broken. We are one. Leave us, or face a world that fights together. The machines paused, their beams stopped, their lights turned blue for the first time. They hesitated, and then the large machine spoke again. New variable, detected unity. Protocol update, rewriting primary directive. Status, observation mode activated, and slowly, one by one, the machines turned away and flew. Back into the dark sky, the wormhole closed, the stars returned, the world was safe. Again, but something had changed. Lyra looked up. They were watching all this time. Karn nodded. But why leave now? Because they saw something new, Lyra said. Queen Mira's smiled. A world they couldn't control. Crick snorted. Or maybe they were just scared of dragons and goblins working together. They all laughed, but in Lyra's eyes, a question still burned. What else is out there? And who will come next? The world was quiet again. Too quiet, but it was not the silence of fear. It was the silence of change. After the machines left, no one spoke for hours. The skies were clear. The ground was still. It felt like the world had taken a deep breath, and now it was finally breathing out. Lyra sat at the top of the Temple of Steel, staring at the stars. She whispered to herself, "They saw us, they judged us, but they didn't destroy us." Karn landed beside her, folding his wings. "They left because they couldn't understand us." Queen Mira's stepped forward. "No, they left because they finally did." Lyra turned to her. "What do you mean?" Mira said. "The machines were built by fear, but fear did not live here anymore. That's why they had no power over us." Down in the valley, goblins and elves planted trees together. Dragons lifted stones to build a new hall of peace. Children from every race played in the fields, laughing, unaware of how close the world had come to ending. This was not just peace, it was something new, something no one had ever seen before. Not even the humans. But Lyra still had questions. She went back to the beacon Crick had found. It was still humming, still glowing, still connected. The AI voice in her crystal activated again. "Would you like to know the truth?" Lyra paused. "What truth?" "The truth about why the dragons were hunted, why the elves became cruel, why goblins were forced underground, why humans left." She nodded slowly, and the AI told her everything. Long ago, humans created magic knot, found it. They made dragons in labs, gave elves their powers through jing, built goblins to survive harsh worlds. They were not gods, they were designers. But one day, the creations turned wild. Dragons grew minds of their own. Elves made their own rules. Goblins rejected their programming. The humans panicked and tried to control everything. They made Protocol Zero. They erased their history. And then, they disappeared. Lyra stood in silence. "So, all of this, it was our fault. We were their experiment." "No," the AI said. "You became more than that. You became alive, and they were afraid of life they couldn't control." Karn growled low. "So they tried to destroy it," Mira's added. "But we survived without them." Lyra nodded, double quotes, "Yes, and now we decide what happens next." That night, a fire was lit in every corner of the land. Elves danced beside goblins. Dragons told stories to young ones. Lyra stood before the crowd and raised her hand. "I once thought humans were our end, but now I know they were only the beginning. We hunted each other. We feared the dragons. But no one ever asked, who will protect the future?" The crowd grew quiet. Lyra continued, "The future is not built by gods, not by machines, not by fear. It is built by us, together." The beacon behind her stopped glowing. Its final message flashed once on the crystal. Directive complete. New civilization. Confirmed. And then it turned dark. Forever. Years passed. Lyra's name became legend. The world changed. No more kings. No more kings. No more hunters. Just builders, dreamers, keepers of peace, but far beyond the stars. In a place even machines feared. Another signal blinked. Watching. Waiting. Not to destroy, but to learn. Because once elves hunted goblins, dragons hunted elves. But now, humanity had taught the world how to protect each other, and this time the galaxy was watching them.